UFC 318. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. I'm looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card. So make sure you guys smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure you share the video too. And also note, I'll be live for the entire card Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Don't miss the fight companion. I'm very excited for it. We got a fun card. I'm looking forward to pretty much everything from prelims on up to the main event. So let's jump right into it. Fight number one, we got the ladies going after it. We got Carli Judice versus Nicole Caliari. It's women's MMA, so expect shit to potentially go sideways. But I got to go with Nicole Caliari. I feel like she can beat Carli Judice in this matchup. Judice is a decent kickboxer. She's got pretty good striking volume, and she is going to have a good bit of a reach advantage in this one. I feel like Caliari's boxing is better, though. And if Caliari can close distance, I can see her landing big shots in the mid-range and in the close range on Judice. I also would favor the side of Nicole Caliari with grappling in this matchup. I think she's going to be physically stronger. I think she's more explosive. I think she's got quicker transitions on the ground. Obviously, Judice is relatively sound in, defensive grappling. It's not like she's going out and getting out-grappled by anybody just yet. But to be fair, she fought Gabriela Fernandez, a striker, and Ernesta Carrasqueta, a striker. Both of these girls went to a split decision loss with Ernesta Carrasqueta. Both had good moments in the fight, and both demand a lot of respect. Caliari's good. So is Judice. It's a battle of 28-year-old and 26-year-old prospects in this damn women's flyweight division. I like Caliari's power. I like Caliari's physicality. She has that strong lower half, and I think that she could find takedowns on Judice. I know we haven't seen Judice out there and, dominated in grappling yet or put in bad spots on the mat yet. But she hasn't fought a Brazilian girl like this. All right. She fought Fernandez, who's an explosive striker. But this is a Caliari that does everything pretty well and does have the explosiveness, does have the boxing. And I think with good head movement, she's going to be able to find her ability to close that gap and get inside on Carli Judice. And I really believe that Caliari's alive to give her some problems. I love the way she rips punches in close. This being Caliari, like slips, rip shots to the body, rip shots to the head. She seems to have legit boxing skills. Obviously, Judice has pretty good striking too. Judice is a southpaw. I'm interested to see the battle of the straights. If Caliari's landing like a big straight as she closes distance. Yeah, it's one of those matchups between the ladies in prospect type fights where you're sitting, you're like, okay, both sides have an argument. I don't think you're crazy if you're thinking Judice could end up winning a hard fought decision, but we know it's going to be tooth and nail back and forth. And I think the X factor could be the physicality of Caliari, the grappling of Caliari, and the knockout potential of Caliari. Not saying she gets a knockout of Judice, but I would say that she hits harder punch-wise. Obviously, Judice is coming off of a sensational KO, but let's hold our horses. Let's be real. Eunice Dubin was, a brawling Spanish savage, a Latin American savage, I should say, who got a sick knockout on Contender Series, but was unproven at a high level. And Judice was able to just pick her apart and knock her out early in the first round. Caliari is 8-3 as a pro. She has a fine-tuned skill set. She fought a really good striker in Ernesta Carrasqueta and went to a close decision, as did Judice, and that was Contender Series. I'm going to say Caliari pulls through. Battle of Prospects, a damn one to watch for sure. This is actually a really good women's fight when, both seem to have fair potential. Minus 280 for the side of Carli Judice, plus 240 for the side of Nicole Caliari. And then this fight going over 2.5. I lean towards yes at minus 245. But, the aforementioned chance of power shots from the side of Caliari or maybe getting it to the mat for Caliari are interesting. She does have 3 submission wins. I don't think you totally overlook it. I disagree with the wide odds. When I look at this fight, I'm like, all right, like I could see Judice with that UFC win being a slight favorite. Minus 280, opening up at minus 225 surprised me. Only 28% of the people picking Caliari. Oh, strong, tough, athletic, Brazilian savage being completely overlooked against Judice. I know Judice kind of is like reminding us of a young Holly Holm. Obviously different, but that type of aura about her. Caliari's gritty. I know she's short, but she closed that gap well. She's explosive. And I think she can pull off a really difficult fight and a win against Carli Judice in this one. I'm going to go with Caliari as the underdog. Women's MMA, starting it off with the dog. I think that makes a lot of sense here. Next fight, Bruno Ferreira versus Jackson McVey. I consider this the what the fuck fight of the night. Matchmaking is weird here. Bruno Ferreira was initially scheduled to fight Ikram Aliaskarov. Jackson McVey had stepped in to fight Cedric Dumas, I believe 2 or 3 cards ago. And then obviously Dumas pulls out. They get a replacement. He pulls out. And McVey's waiting for a fight. Now he gets Bruno Ferreira. It's not a good matchup for a debut. I'm going Bruno Ferreira. Ferreira's powerful. He's got really dangerous punching ability and he wings bombs at his opponents. But on top of that, he also has a judo base. So it's not like he's a shit can when fights are in grappling or if he's getting, clinched up with somebody. Obviously, McVey's pretty tall. He's 6'4" with a 77-inch reach. And on the opposite side, Bruno Ferreira, 6-inch disadvantage in height, a damn 5-inch disadvantage in reach. Like, there are intangibles that favor Jackson McVey, but if you've watched any film on Jackson McVey, you wouldn't consider him one of those strikers that manages distance at an efficient rate. Not saying that he can't strike from the outside, but he's not like a master of range. He does have decent pop on his straight shots, and he does have tricky submission too. Like, his submission skills are interesting. Like, he has the long limbs, which pose an unorthodox threat of subs, but he's not going to submit Bruno Ferreira. I'd be pretty shocked. I like the wild striking of Ferreira. I like the overhand shots of Ferreira. I think if we actually see the grappling play out, I could see Ferreira as the guy that ends up on top doing damage. I don't think Jackson McVey is going to be able to eat Bruno Ferreira's best shot. I think Ferreira's live for a finish. I think inside distance Ferreira, obviously McVey undefeated as a professional. And you look at the amateur run, he has that one loss. He got submitted by Wes Schultz, former Contender Series fighter. So he's shown, an ability to win a lot of fights, and like the prospect skill set seems live at 26. But the jump from even being scheduled to fight Cedric Dumas, who's more of a bottom tier UFC middleweight, to now Bruno Ferreira, who knocked out RoboCop and is coming off a win in his last fight against Armin Petrosian, who's a sensational kickboxer. Abus Magomedov lost, but Magomedov's a hard matchup for Ferreira, and he still got rocked. Dustin Stoltzfus fight was a war, but Stoltzfus underrated. Phil Hawes knockout's badass. Nursultan Riziboyev put him away with the perfect shot, and I get it, Riziboyev's tall. It was a pick from me on the underdog Riziboyev there, which turned out to be sensational, but when you look, it was just a perfect catch, and then bam, strike. I don't see McVey doing that. He doesn't have that type of explosiveness in striking. He brings a submission threat, but he's not going to sub Ferreira. Ferreira's got good ground skills. Bruno Ferreira to win this fight on the ground would be like an underrated call. Like a submission Bruno Ferreira, I want to see what the money line is. But I'm going to predict Bruno Ferreira wins by finish. He's a minus 725 favorite. I agree with those odds. I genuinely feel a bit bad for Jackson McVey being matched up with Bruno Ferreira in a debut now. I get it. It's the chance of a lifetime. But he's probably taking some big hits to the head. And if he's lucky, he'll get submitted. Under 1.5 minus 255, I say yes, but I prefer under 2.5. I also would say Ferreira inside distance, very confident. I also think you could look at the value. Which is better, knockout or submission? Ferreira is probably underrated with the sub threat. Definitely is going to have a knockout chance against McVey, but McVey's one loss as an amateur was a submission, and Bruno Ferreira could potentially sub up a McVey as well if he pulls off a slick armbar transition against Armin Petrosian. Yeah, I get it. Petrosian kind of primarily a kickboxer. McVey a little more adept to grappling offensively, at least at a lower level, right? Interesting matchup for sure. One that has me excited. I'm looking forward to watching Bruno Ferreira. I think violent KO or sensational sub. I think Bruno Ferreira inside distance. I think it comes down to, does McVey got a chin on him? Because I see Ferreira landing bombs on the feet. If McVey does have a chin, I think it'd be interesting to see if they tie up in close range. I have a hard time seeing McVey dragging Bruno Ferreira to the ground and beating him up. I could see Ferreira hitting like a counter throw or trip and then getting on top and landing some big shots. I just think Bruno Ferreira is going to eventually melt Jackson McVey. So the pick is Bruno Ferreira. I think live with power in the hands, getting a knockout, but I don't know. That submission is kind of calling my name. I want to see the prop lines of it for the betting side, but I do think Ferreira finishes. McVey in this fight. He could hurt him with a big shot. McVey's chin's a little high. If Ferreira reaches up and then, McVey punching down, I think we could see Jackson go down and out like we've seen Austin Lane in the past. But if it's on the mat too, I think Ferreira's live to strangle him or potentially lock up another armbar, something crazy. I think he's going to outmuscle McVey. So the pick is Bruno Ferreira all day in this one. Next fight in the card, Ryan Spann versus Łukasz Brzeski. I'm picking Ryan Spann to win. I think this is a proper heavyweight fight for him. I mean, looking back, I had high expectations for the Where's Waldo fight. He ended up getting finished, but then Waldo was able to beat Sergey Spivak, who's, a pretty legit top 10 heavyweight. So I think I was underrating the abilities of Where's Waldo heading into the Ryan Spann fight. And I look at Spann as he is, though. He's a dangerous puncher with a pretty solid ground game and good athleticism. He's going to have a speed advantage over a lot of these more bottom tier back end heavyweights. Łukasz Brzeski's a bit of a brawler. I mean, he's got the win over Walter Walker, which has aged like a fine wine because Walker has missed the heel hook with 3 in a row. But let's be real. He fought the worst version of Walter Walker. He fought a fat Walter Walker. Now Walter Walker's in his shape and taking his fighting career serious. And Brzeski, since that win, has been knocked out in 2 straight fights. Mick Parkin put him away. And it's not like Mick Parkin's that powerful of a puncher. He's a clean puncher. And then Kennedy Nzechukwu knocked him out. Obviously, Nzechukwu a decent striker from long range. Just got subbed up by Walter Walker, but, completely different matchup. I think Ryan Spann is live to knock him out, too. Last 3 losses for Łukasz Brzeski are KO losses. Where's Waldo also knocked him out. Ryan Spann's explosive. When he's on point, he can be pretty accurate. I get it. He's 1-4 in his last 5. But, I put respect on a quick sub against OSP. I put respect on his performance against Bogdan. Obviously dropped Anthony Smith there and nearly won that fight. Nikita Krylov subs him, but Krylov's of higher level at light heavyweight. Łukasz Brzeski's pretty bad. We can, try to find positives. He's an okay striker. His hands are decent enough, right? He comes forward and he throws punches, but he's pretty hittable down the center line. He doesn't move his head a lot. I'd say he's on the slower side, even of heavyweights, as far as his striking, lacks explosiveness. Whereas Ryan Spann on the other side definitely is explosive, has big blitzes, and also dangerous submission threats. Łukasz Brzeski could end up on the ground with Spann, and Spann could end up pulling off a surprise submission too. I mean, if you look at Ryan Spann's resume, the dude's got 13 wins by sub. You look at Łukasz Brzeski, never lost a fight by submission, but how many of his opponents that you look at do you think submission skills? Walter Walker, the one, missed the heel hook. I know. So it's going to blind you to think, oh, maybe he can't get submitted. But I think we could see Ryan Spann sub up a Brzeski like a Gilly or a Darce choke, front headlock position. He caught OSP in the Gilly. He's got those long arms. I think Brzeski could get caught by a big punch and put out. I think Ryan Spann's live to finish Łukasz Brzeski in the first round. I really think Brzeski's pretty bad. And I don't see him sticking around in the UFC. I feel like he's kind of been found out and his confidence probably at a low right now too. And I think that Ryan Spann, I mean, yeah, you could say his confidence is at a low, but watching Waldo beat Sergey Spivak, that had to up his confidence. Okay, I lost to a top 7 guy. Now I'm fighting a guy who's top 50 at best. I think this is a win for Ryan Spann at heavyweight incoming. And I think he's live for a knockout finish. But the possibility of submission, another one. I said about the Bruno Ferreira fight. I'm feeling with this one. I feel like Ryan Spann could get some type of front headlock. -210 for Spann. I feel good about this pick. Brzeski sitting at +180. I expect this fight to end up being stopped within the first 2.5. Under 1.5 is -150. I'm calling Spann earlier. I guess I'll say under 1.5 at -150. Could Brzeski survive to the second? I guess, but there's no head movement, and I feel like Spann is going to snipe him with a big straight shot. And then if Brzeski then chooses to engage in wrestling because he's hurt from a big punch by Ryan Spann, I therefore see Ryan Spann being able to lock up some type of counter submission. I really think Ryan Spann's going to show levels in this fight. He's a decent light heavyweight moving up to heavyweight. And he's fighting a pretty bad heavyweight, Łukasz Brzeski. He should destroy him. So Ryan Spann, I'm going to say in the first round, runs over Łukasz Brzeski. Next fight on the card, Jimmy Crute versus Marcin Prachnio. Jimmy Crute has not won a fight in a damn long time. 2020, he beat Modestas Bukauskas. Since that point, it's been a lot of downs. I guess some neutrals with the draws. I am going to pick him to beat Marcin Prachnio here, though. I think finally, Jimmy Crute can get a win. They're giving him a matchup against a Prachnio who's really kind of just a weird fighter, I would describe him as. I mean, somehow beat Khalil Roundtree a few years ago with his weird karate style. Has decent kicks and like has, I don't know, just a unique way of throwing punches. Kind of, I don't know, in that traditionalist karate stance with like an MMA modification, throws straights and has like a tucked guard, and then is, somehow rocking Modestas Bukauskas with a high kick from close range. He has these what the fuck moments. That's what Marcin Prachnio is. He has the what the fuck moments. So, like with Jimmy Crute's side not winning for a really long time, of course, there's a red flag. But Jimmy Crute has power in his hands. Jimmy Crute has really good grappling. I get it. It's easy to overlook him. He was beating Bellato's ass. I don't think he expected Bellato to be able to survive that storm, you know? He beat the shit out of Bellato in round one. Of course, Bellato made the mistake that pulled Jimmy Crute on top of him, and then Jimmy Crute just beat the shit out of him, and then he even dropped him on the feet. So he did showcase his punching power early against Bellato, but Bellato with the block head ends up surviving. That's why that up kick was bullshit. He fucking, acting out there. Survives a bomb from Jimmy Crute, but a light up kick, and he's like, acting like he's seizing out. That's besides the point. I'm going to pick Jimmy Crute to finally get a win. It's been a long time. He's a faith-based fighter now. A lot of faith-based fighters been catching W after W. We've been seeing it lately. I think Jimmy Crute's time is now. I believe his confidence is going to be there. I believe his confidence is going to be high. I think that he's founded it within himself. I do believe that he's looking at the positives of the Bellato fight. He said himself, he's taking the pressure off. He took a little while off. He had like a temporary retirement and then ended up coming back and, dialing in, getting in pretty good shape and, fighting a scary Brazilian and nearly getting him out of there and then, doing enough damage early to get a draw after losing the second and third. Now he fights a Marcin Prachnio, who's very 50-50. I mean, he is due for a win on paper, and that's worrisome with the win-loss, but I think Jimmy Crute is also due for a win, which is as bad as his losing streak has been. Modestas Bukauskas was able to sub him, so that kind of tells me Jimmy Crute getting this fight to the ground, he could find a way. Vitor Petrino also able to beat him by submission 2 years ago. I think Crute has a live path on the mat. He beat Devin Clark. I mean, Devin Clark is kind of a smothering wrestler. He never really did anything that well. And then William Knight kind of, just there. He's just jacked as fuck and strong. I think Jimmy Crute is the better boxer. I think Marcin Prachnio does have tricky kicks that you have to watch out for, and he's unorthodox and awkward with the way he throws looping shots and whatnot. Crute should have a clear-cut grappling advantage, and I think that he could get it there too. I feel like Jimmy Crute submitting Marcin Prachnio stands out to me. I'm going to say Jimmy Crute sub. How many fucking subs am I thinking? This is about to be a card showcasing the effectiveness of the submission, all right? I'm going to say Jimmy Crute beats the karate stylist. Prachnio is like an OG kickboxing karate style of fighter. Obviously, he doesn't do it like a Wonder Boy, but has that background. And I think that Jimmy Crute can hit him with hard punches on the feet, get him to the ground, wear on him a bit, and then I do think he can eventually find the submission. I just see Jimmy Crute raising his arms up in victory and like this sigh of relief, like finally, I'm back on track. Because it's been a long time. I mean, Jimmy Crute, if you guys remember, Jimmy Crute was a fucking prospect to watch at one point. He was 12-1 going into his fight with Anthony Smith. Obviously, Serkinov got him with the weird sub, but like it is what it is. He had beaten guys like Paul Craig, Sam Alvey, Oleg Jacek, even Bukauskas, who's on a roll now. Since the point, I mean, it's just been 3 losses, 2 draws, inconsistency, bad results, disappointment. I think Jimmy Crute's better than, losing to a Marcin Prachnio, though. I think he snaps it back on track. I'm going with Jimmy Crute in this matchup. He's minus 285. I got him winning it. Plus 245 for the side of Marcin Prachnio. I think Jimmy Crute can do the thing. The over is minus 115. I'm going to say that this fight is live to end inside of the distance with Crute locking up a sub. I like the minus 285. I like the win by submission tag. I like the chance of Jimmy Crute getting the hand raised, going out there and handling business. All right? I think he can get this fight to the ground. I think he can lock up a submission over Prachnio. I also think his hands could look relatively quick on the inside, and in boxing, he could do damage. Prachnio just throwing kicks from the outside. I'm sure he lands some heavy body kicks and leg kicks and whatnot and shoots up high a bit. But I think Crute's going to look to press. I think he is going to land, and I think he is going to get on top of Prachnio and, thrive on the mat, which is where the original Jimmy Crute hype took place. I think at 29 years old, it ain't over yet. I'm going to say Jimmy Crute wins again. We're picking him here. I'm going Jimmy Crute to get it done and finally get a victory. Finally gets a win. I think he can do it here. Next fight, Adam Fugitt versus Islam Dulatov. I'm going to pick Islam Dulatov to win. I like this dude. He's a Chechen savage. He obviously fights out of Germany, but he's got that Chechen blood. He's a fun style to watch. I mean, if you watch that elbow knockout on Contender Series, if you didn't, you definitely saw the highlight reel somewhere on Instagram or, some type of social media site because it was a badass knockout. He's got a really nasty stand-up game that's like pressure and volume based. Does have a calmness to his striking style, which I do like a lot, especially for a young fighter at only 26, nearly 27 years of age. The Chechen blood tells me he'll be fine if they hit the mat. Now, obviously, he hasn't beaten the most high-level guys, but he's got submission wins in the arsenal. He beat Will Chope, who I think was like, 6'5". I watched Will Chope in a bare knuckle fight live in Tampa a couple of years ago now. And that's kind of funny to see him on the record, too. And then you look last time, I mean, I'm not saying Antuanez, who he fought, was this, high-caliber guy to watch, and then he pulled off a sick win. Nah, he's a tough journeyman. But Dulatov knocked him out in the way that he should. And it's not just him. He's got two brothers. So I'm curious to see how Islam starts it all off. The kid's good. He's sharp with his striking. He's really aggressive. He's confident as fuck. He rips good flurries. He's going to be closing distance on Fugitt, and he's going to be looking to beat him up. And I think he can outpace him, outwork him. I think he can knock his ass out, to be honest with you. Fugitt's decent from range. He has an okay jab. He fights out of southpaw. He peppers with solid straights. And I would say his kicks aren't bad either. He is kind of on the slower side of striking. He's not super explosive, and he's not super dynamic, and, he's not super light-footed or efficient, but okay, he's good, right? He's good enough. Now, is he good on the UFC elite level? No, but he knows how to fight. Who gets a tough customer? We've seen him, win in the UFC. He beat Josh Quinlan on a close decision, which hasn't aged. Mike Malott lost, obviously. Beat Kinoshita. That was impressive at the time. Lost to Michael Morales. That's fine. Solomon Renfro's a tough customer. But it's I feel like Dulatov is going to slice through his guard with shots. That's what I see. I see Dulatov slicing through the guard of Fugitt, and I see him backing Fugitt up and making him uncomfortable. Don't be surprised when Fugitt's trying to wrestle this Chechen blood and that takedown's getting absolutely stuffed and potentially him getting subbed. But I'm going to pick Dulatov by knockout. There's been too many fucking submissions, man. Too many potential submissions on this damn card. It could be a sub here too because Dulatov got the long arms. He does have submissions in the arsenal, but I feel like his aggressive striking attack is going to take over here. And I see him melting Adam Fugitt here. You can see 6 wins KO, 5 wins by submission. Dulatov puts people away. All wins by finish. Adam Fugitt's getting finished. I think he's getting knocked the fuck out. I think Dulatov's going to be relentless, aggressive. I think he's going to find big shots on Fugitt. I think he's going to hurt him bad. I think we're going to see Fugitt trying to avoid the bang, trying to stay moving on the bicycle, and Dulatov just throwing thunder down at him and putting him away. So I'm going with Islam Dulatov to get it done. Minus 560. My God. Wide odds for Islam Dulatov. Plus 410. All right. All right. All right. Over 1.5 plus 140. It's another one where I'm anticipating a finish. I guess I got to say under. It could go a little longer. Will Fugitt survive? But Dulatov has missed the first round. He's got 1 second round win. I'm saying first round. I think Dulatov is going to put a pace on Fugitt he can't keep up with. Yeah, he's a minus 560 favorite. He should be. He should run over Adam Fugitt in this fight. He should do serious damage. Good punch combinations, good peppering shots when need be, but then he's going to rip power. Watch for the elbows. I think he's going to have Fugitt just absolutely outgunned and kind of just lost out there. And I think he's going to put him down and out. I'm going with Islam Dulatov to run Adam Fugitt over. He should beat the shit out of him. It should be violent. And it should be a win that puts Dulatov on the map because he's supposed to be a prospect to watch. That Contender Series win stuck out to me, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of this savage. So Islam Dulatov to go out there and beat some ass against Adam Fugitt. Let's get it. Next fight on the card, we got Ateba Gautier versus Robert Valentin. I'm picking Ateba Gautier. He's a terrifying force to be reckoned with, and he's fighting a Robert Valentin who's decent. I mean, he was able to make it to the Ultimate Fighter finals, but the first 2 UFC fights, obviously the finale loss to Ryan Loder, he did have some moments early in the fight on the ground, And then he kind of just got bullied backwards a lot by Therese Finney. It wasn't a split decision. He definitely lost. And Finney was just trying to smother him. It was a terrible style, but he did what he needed to do. Valentin has a bit of a chaotic striking attack, a little bit unorthodox, does bring danger in his stand-up game. Now, his submission threat is pretty live, I would say. I feel like, Valentin's jiu-jitsu is legit. He brings a unique style and is going to throw up submissions from anywhere. The problem is he's fighting Ateba Gautier, and this is just one of those Cameroonian powerhouses. The dude's back is as wide as the fucking door that I get into the studio with. All right. The dude's a fucking monster. Deadly KO power. He has the gift of the touch of death. Is surprisingly patient too, which is a big green flag. I feel like he has that calmness that could take him far in his UFC run. I consider him just one of those specimen athletes. He has clean boxing. He's absolutely jacked. He's just built different. He's built different. And I think Robert Valentin is going to get knocked out here. I can't pick against this freak. Ateba Gautier, that's what he is. He's a freak. As much as Valentin's got a lot of experience fighting around the world and whatnot, training, in Thailand and stuff, I just think that Ateba Gautier is that freak of freaks. He hits too hard. He was working with Frank Mir a bit. Frank Mir a bit. I feel like Ateba Gautier is going to knock Valentin out. I mean, you look at Valentin's game, he's got a well-versed attack. He's got knockouts, but submissions is, kind of you can consider the bread and butter. I feel like he's getting chin, though. I feel like sweet chin music. I feel like Gautier just punches way too hard. I see Valentin backed up. I don't think Valentin's taking Gautier down, so it turns into a striking fight. And I think Valentin has some chaos to his style, and it's fun to watch for sure, but I don't think he's going to be able to hurt Gautier. I think he's going to throw hard, wild shots, watch for spinning attacks and crazy shit. And I think he's getting punched hard as fuck in the body and in the face. And I think he's eventually going to get knocked the fuck out. So I'm going to Ateba Gautier to knock him out. And he's a huge favorite, too, at minus 550. We got some massive favorites on the prelims back-to-back weeks. Valentin plus 400. He's not dealing with the specimen. I don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't think Valentin gets this fight to the ground. And I don't think Gautier gets knocked out by a Valentin. On the flip side, if Gautier's on top, I think he's defending submission attempts and landing big ground and pound shots. And if they're striking, Gautier's landing bombs. Another one where I'm thinking it goes under. I don't like the 1.5. I'd rather go 2.5. But I will say I lean towards yes at minus 135. But it could go a little long. It could last a bit. Gautier, like I said, he's calm. He got a second round knockout against Naito. And he dealt with some takedown threats. And Naito's got the wrestling base. It could be first. It could be second. I see inside distance win, Ateba Gautier, specifically a knockout win. I will lean towards the first 2 rounds, but I wouldn't guarantee that under 1.5. Like Valentin could go over. His toughest could keep him in it. Like if you're looking for value side of things, you're chasing plus money. Like I would say, all right, does Valentin have the chin? Maybe he plays it a little safer early, knowing this guy's an absolute berserker. And to be fair, like if I was in Valentin's corner, if I was to direct him in this fight, I would be like, okay, we need to wear this beast down. Don't get into a head-on collision with the motherfucking truck. Okay? Stay moving on the, bicycle. You're in the big cage. Take your time. Avoid big combinations. Throw shots. Don't just fucking be a chicken out there. If you can try some takedowns, try it. See what Gautier defends with. Get out of the first round. Have this guy slow down a bit, and then you can maybe pick up on some shots. But even as I'm saying it, I don't think Valentin's going to be able to endure the big shots. He's eventually getting knocked out. I don't think it's a matter of if, it's when. I'm going Gautier, knockout. Next fight on the card. We have Francisco Prado versus Nikolai Veretennikov. I'm going to go with Francisco Prado to get a knockout win in this one. I feel like this is a matchup where he could end up thriving here. Against a Veretennikov, who's okay. Veretennikov has decent game. He can throw solid punches. His straights are not bad. He's got, a good little reach advantage in this matchup here. He ripped shots together fairly well against Danny Barlow. But to be fair, I think Danny Barlow was massively overrated. And I called it. I picked Sam Patterson as a big underdog, and he won by first round knockout. And then Veretenikov's next fight, he got absolutely killed by Austin Vanderford. Prado's pretty good, man. Francisco Prado is a heavy-handed fighter. He's got big punches that he rips on the inside. He definitely has an ability to land flush shots in close range on a Veretennikov. It's kind of like Prado could put him in the blender of chaos, and I don't think in that closer range Veretennikov can deal with the hands of Prado. Veretennikov, he's 12-6 and he's 35. So it's like we're dealing with a 35-year-old prospect who's lost 2 in a row, or I got a 23-year-old prospect who lost 2 in a row. And yeah, he lost to Jake Matthews, but Jake Matthews just quickly submitted Chidi Njokuani last time out. Like Prado at least was able to survive and make it, a bit of a fight. Daniel Zellhuber, it was a good back and forth fight. Yes, he lost to the taller and sharper striker. It is what it is. Fight before that, brutal knockout of Ataman Zaitar, and then his debut, he ended up losing to Jamie Malarkey. So, like, Prado's in one of those spots where I think he has a really high ceiling, and I think he's a good fighter, honestly. He came into the UFC undefeated at 11-0, but he's fallen on some hard times because, he's 23 years old, and it's not like he's been getting layups. The one layup, he knocked the guy out in the first round. Now he's fighting Veretennikov, who's 35, and like we know his level. He's not going to be getting better. He's okay. Like he's an average kickboxer. He's got okay enough ground skills. Obviously, Austin Vanderford killed him last time. I feel like Prado is due for a violent KO. I think he's getting better each and every time he fights. I think Prado is going to be on the roster for a while. I don't see him as a UFC washout. I think Prado is actually really good. I think Prado's fun to watch. I think he's got dynamic power. And I think that at 23, he was just a little too young for the matchups he ended up getting. Hard debut against Malarkey. And at the time, Malarkey was better. Now he sucks, but he was better. Second fight, he beats his Zaitar. Then, okay, we're going to give you Zellhuber, who's got a big range advantage, been in the UFC for a little bit longer, and a blue chip prospect. He loses. Okay. Then he goes up, we're going to give you Jake Matthews, that's been on the roster since he was 17, Wasn't actually 17, but young. And he loses. Now it's like, okay, we'll give you an 0-2 Veretennikov, 35 years old, more of a journeyman. I think he's going to get the win. I think Prado's live to knock Veretennikov out. I see him catching him with a big hook. I think Veretennikov's getting put away. I don't think you should ride on the side of, but he survived Danny Barlow. No. Prado sits down on his punches different. He closes that gap different. Dude's fucking strong, too. And I'm telling you, he's coming to his own at 170. Prado's got good skills, and he also has talent. And he also has the gift of power and athleticism. I promise you Prado's going to do okay in the UFC. And a violent knockout of Veretennikov, thumbs up from me. Prado minus 150, Veretennikov plus 130. I'm calling Prado to get a violent KO. Over 2.5 is minus 155. I'm going to say under, plus 125. I think Prado gets him out of there. I think Veretennikov gets clipped. I think Prado hits him with some big shots. Maybe Veretennikov's chin's really that crazy, but I feel like, I don't know. There's like a reliance on what was. Like, okay, he's been knocked out twice. Oh, but, he didn't get knocked out by Michael Morales in 2021. So then he should not get knocked out here by Prado. I think Prado knocks him out. I think Prado's live to win. I mean, could he pull it off in a different facet? He's got 6 submissions. He could sub him too. Prado for the W makes perfect sense. I believe in the 23-year-old. I think Prado is going to beat up Nikolai Veretennikov, and I think he finishes him. So I'm going Prado. I'll officially call KO, but it's not like he doesn't have 6 wins by submission. He's a well-versed prospect. He's coming into his own. He's getting better each and every fight. I cannot say the same for Nikolai Veretennikov. I'm going Prado by violence, and I'm excited as hell for it. Next fight on the card. We got Marvin Vettori versus Brendan Allen. I'm going with the Italian. I'm going with Marvin Vettori to beat Brendan Allen. I think he can win this fight. I really do. I was surprised to see these fucking odds right here. Weirds me out. I think this fight is close to like a 50-50 on paper. Marvin Vettori's hands, though he's not powerful, he does have decent enough straights. You'll take it back. Oh, well, he hits with some thud. Well, he doesn't knock people out very often, right? How often do we see Vettori going out there and finishing fights? It's been number of years, all right? It's not his forte. Vettori's a southpaw. He's got decent enough stand-up skills. He's a blockhead. He can absorb everything. Very physically strong and defensively sound in grappling. Like, Brendan Allen's going to be a bit quicker as far as, like, maybe the striking goes, but I feel like hands for hands, Vettori's going to be able to land hard shots on him. I don't feel like Brendan Allen wins. I'm thinking, like, okay, Brendan Allen with Chris Curtis was tooth and nail, and yeah, earlier in the fight, Brendan Allen had his bigger moments of success because he was able to neutralize Chris Curtis with the grappling. I don't see Brendan Allen taking down and bullying Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori's known for being Very hard to take down. Physically strong and comprehensive in grappling in his own right. He competes in grappling. I feel like Marvin Vettori is going to win a unanimous decision here. I think it's a competitive fight. I think Vettori might land harder shots. Allen's going to be landing cleaner body shots, though, definitely. Allen's body kicks are nasty. That's what I see. I see Allen ripping some body kicks, trying to, channel a little Paulo Costa Vettori, but actually get the win at the end. I don't think he will. I think Vettori lands some decent headshots. I think when they tie up, it's very competitive. I think Vettori wins the battle of the clinch, even if they don't go to the ground and are involved in like a very slick jiu-jitsu match. I think Vettori in clinch, stronger. Punching, little harder. Grappling, less slick, but more of a cinder block. Brendan Allen, faster transitional speed, more of a threat of finishing the fight by submission, you could say, but I don't think he's subbing Vettori. Look at Vettori's career, man. He doesn't get finished. I feel like Vettori's going to squeak by. Now, I would like 5 rounds a lot better. I would say I'd also favor Vettori more so over 5 rounds. He was in a damn close one with Dolidze. 2 close fights with Dolidze. Put up a gutsy effort. Yes, he took a loss, but we have active Vettori again. He had a long layoff, 2 years, right? A little less than that. It was a year and, 9 months or so, a little less than that. But a year and 9 months, let's call it. Came back, went to a close 5-round fight with Roman Dolidze. Now he gets a 3-round fight against Brendan Allen, who he's supposed to fight. They got into a street scuffle, too, at like a Las Vegas casino. A little wild scrap between the two. That was funny as hell. They didn't really land anything, but they did get into it. I think Marvin Vettori can get through the test of Brendan Allen. Allen's on a 2-fight losing streak, as is Vettori. Allen last time got absolutely outdogged on the mat and out-techniqued, really, by Fluffy Hernandez. Fight before that, he lost to Nazaruddin Imavov, who's a sharp kickboxer. The Chris Curtis split decision. I think Vettori could win. I'm going to pick Vettori to get his 20th pro victory. I feel like he gets past the Brendan Allen puzzle in this one. It's going to be a competitive fight. Both guys are prime, 29 and 31. I just feel like Vettori's hands could carry. And I don't think Allen is getting to like crazy dominant position on the mat. I'm not giving up on Marvin Vettori, all right? He's the one representative of Italy in fucking MMA right now, or at least in the UFC of high-level MMA. And I believe in the skills. I'm not just picking him to be like, oh, well, I'm just going with the Italian. But I do think he can win this fight. Brendan Allen's decent, but like, is it like, oh, he's better than Vettori? I think so. I think these guys are pretty close. And I'll say Vettori gets a 29-28 decision. Plus 180 for Vettori, Allen minus 210. I feel like Vettori does just a tad bit more. The over 2.5 makes a lot of sense here. Minus 260 for the over. I'm saying it's going over 2.5. As much as, there's pre-fight beef and whatnot, they got into a little scuffle. I think it's going to be, more of a technical pace fight. And I'll say that Marvin Vettori squeaks by. I do. I think he squeaks by. I don't think he runs through, but I think he squeaks by a tad. So I'm going with Vettori to get it done. W Vettori is going to be my call. 29-28. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, we have our featured prelim of the night. It's Kyler Phillips versus Vinicius Oliveira. Lock dog. Come on, bro. It's a no-brainer. My pick is Vinicius Oliveira to win. I think Oliveira is going to beat Kyler Phillips in pretty much all areas of the game. I think he could absolutely body him if they hit the mat. I think he could outmuscle him and drag him to the floor. As far as striking goes, I think Oliveira is going to be putting pressure on Kyler Phillips and landing harder shots. I'll be real with you, man. Kyler Phillips, he seems to be a relatively smooth striker, and he looks dynamic in certain matchups. But then, Rob Font just pieced him up. I think that win against a completely washed and shell of himself Pedro Munoz had most of us overrating just how good Kyler Phillips truly was. Phillips is decent. He has sharpness to his strike. He can snap some good kicks. He gets creative with his striking attack. But at times, I feel like he's fucking lazy with his shots and, lugs out fat punches. Fat punches and kicks. Kind of just lazily throws them. I don't know. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Lackadaisical shots occasionally. As sharp as he can be, he can also get sloppy. On the other side, we got a dynamic pressure striker. Vinicius Oliveira has a pretty creative striking attack. He's not afraid to get crazy out there at all. He's very clean on the feet. Is he super technically proficient in your typical manner? Like if we're going through the book of fighting? Nah, he does things differently. The book of fighting, it doesn't even fucking exist. All different styles flow. And I got to pop his in. Oliveira, he's got a style that I enjoy watching. He's really explosive. He punches fucking hard. He's got a sick flying knee KO of Sopai. And Sopai is a fantastic prospect too. I feel like he's got good accuracy on his shots, even with a bit of the chaos factor. He's got really nasty calf kicks as well. He's physically strong. He can grapple well, and his cardio is on point. I think he can outwork a Kyler Phillips over a hard-fought 3-rounder. Kyler Phillips has shown, an ability to survive. It's not like he's getting KO'd left and right. And Oliveira went out and won his last 2 fights at a higher level by decision. I favor Oliveira getting it done on the judges' scorecards. He's coming off a win against Said Nurmagomedov. I don't want to say it's similar to this, but, Said's a relatively slick striker who also brings more of a grappling threat, especially a threat of like the front headlock position, whereas Kyler Phillips, he's not going to bring a submission threat. It's technical striking, and it's Kyler Phillips needing to pick apart Vinicius Oliveira over a 3-round fight. And I think to myself, well, Oliveira is going to walk through what Phillips is going to look to throw, which is, teeps from the outside, big body kicks, powerful straights, and stay on the bicycle. I think Oliveira is going to close that gap. I think he's going to chase him down. I think he's going to cut off the cage, too. He's not just going to chase, I think he's going to cut off the cage. I think he's going to land big shots against the cage. I think he's going to have Kyler Phillips uncomfortable out there. I think he's going to catch him with big shots on the feet that cause him to retreat a bit. I think there's a chance that Vinicius Oliveira drags this fight to the ground and lands some big ground and pound. I think there's a chance he takes Kyler Phillips back and threatens with the submission. I think Vinicius Oliveira is going to go out here and look very good. I think he's the blue chip prospect to watch in the division, and he's fighting like the prospect that seemed to be blue chip, but maybe not, in Kyler Phillips. And I think that Oliveira gets past this test. It's a battle of prospect to watch and once was prospect. And I think that Vinicius Oliveira gets through the once was prospect. Not that Phillips got no career left, but I don't see him, ascending to heights that I could see Vinicius Oliveira ascend to. Oliveira's minus 165, Phillips plus 145. I love to see an Oliveira submission here. I would love to see it. I would love to see it. The over 2.5 in this fight, minus 185. I do favor the side of the over 2.5, even though, like I'm talking about, I'd love to see a finish. Vinicius Oliveira, yes, naturally a finisher, 16 KOs, only 2 submissions, but a possibility of a club and stuff. But those 4 decisions and 2 of them at the higher level. As much as he hits hard, I don't know, man. Does he put Phillips away? That's the question. I feel like Phillips survives the onslaught. I feel like Vinicius Oliveira lands big in this fight and has impactful moments, certainly. But I'll say that it's a unanimous decision. I'll hope for a finish. I think that's better. If he gets a violent knockout of Kyler Phillips, a highlight reel knockout, especially on the prelim main event of a damn pay-per-view, the stock grows. I can't even describe it. It's limitless how much it grows. I think just the win in general is huge, though. Against a Kyler Phillips who's, been one to watch for a while. And I think Oliveira definitely wins. So my pick is Vinicius Oliveira to get the W. He is a slight favorite this time out. And, last fight, if you remember, he's minus 161 as the fave to Phillips at plus 141. But last fight, he was the underdog with Said, and I picked him as a big underdog. And now he's the favorite, and I'm picking him again. Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira, someone to keep an eye on. I think he's getting through the Kyler Phillips test for sure. Let's go. Next fight on the card. It brings us to our main card opener. If you guys are watching and enjoying, make sure you savages smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe it up. We got Michael Johnson versus Daniel Zellhuber. I am going to pick Daniel Zellhuber. I'm going with Zellhuber to win. I think that he's going to be sharp from the outside. He's a good prospect still. He's got a nice jab that he works, and it's a sharp jab that lands hard. Now, I will say, Michael Johnson being a southpaw, there's a bit of a negation of the jab from Zellhuber because of that, but I could see him landing a big straight, kicks to the body, snap hard, decent distance management. He's coming together well. Like, I really think that Daniel Zellhuber is still a nice prospect. Last fight, he ended up losing to Esteban Ribovics, and I picked Ribovics, and a lot of people overlooked Ribovics because, you fall in love with just checking the odds. But the truth is, Esteban Ribovics ends up putting the boxing pressure on him in a bit of a chaotic way, and Zellhuber ends up getting outworked and caught with some big ones. This is a different matchup, though. This is a 39-year-old Michael Johnson who's 23-19 as a pro. Yes, Michael Johnson has dynamic ability. Shit, he knocked out Dustin Poirier, who was main event in this card many years ago. When it was prime Michael Johnson, he was a force to be reckoned with. Nasty hand speed, precise straight punches. And honestly, Michael Johnson's boxing was class. He caught Khabib with some heavy shots too. That was a long time ago, though. And to be fair, Michael Johnson definitely found his footing again, and his mentality is what keeps him in it. His mentality is what keeps him young in this game, because Michael Johnson has the mindset that he's still working towards fighting for a belt even at 39. He talks about it all the time, and I love that about Michael Johnson. I've watched him since The Ultimate Fighter, St. Pierre and Koscheck back in the day. I'm proud of him where he's ascended to in his career, but I feel like Zellhuber gets him. I think Zellhuber catches him with some decent straights. I see some heavy body kicks coming in. Johnson throws hard, but the chin is worrisome. I feel like Zellhuber could drop him with a big shot. Last win was a knockout of Ataman Azaitar, but Ataman Azaitar, I'm telling you, it's like I was saying with Prado, like he is a can. Beat Darius Flowers by a decision. Flowers is a can. Lost to Diego Ferreira in a fight where he looked okay in the striking. He ends up getting flatlined with the overhand brutally. Beat Mark Jacasey, who's no longer with the promotion, and then lost a controversial decision against Jamie Malarkey. He's easily 4-1 in his last 5. But I think Daniel Zellhuber is definitely a tricky puzzle to deal with. I mean, striking-wise, on paper, he's the best striker that Johnson's fought over those past 5. The sharpest kickboxer for sure, the snappiest kicks, the best jab of the bunch, and I think the most potential of the bunch too at 26 years old. He's a good prospect, man. I really think Daniel Zellhuber taking 9 months off since the Esteban Ribovics fight at only 26, maybe that's the best idea ever. He had time to reset, recover, be like, okay, what do we got to work on? I expect an improved Daniel Zellhuber, and I feel like he's live to knock Michael Johnson out. Michael Johnson's been knocked out 3 times. Not like he's getting KO'd left and right, but there's a possibility. Zellhuber's got 3 subs with 7 KOs. Is it crazy to say that Daniel Zellhuber chins an aging Michael Johnson? I feel like no. Yes, there's a possibility of 3 hard-fought rounds. Yes, I could see Daniel Zellhuber getting caught by Michael Johnson at points and Johnson closing that gap. But the thing is, he's going to have to overcome a sharp distance kickboxer who has the big reach advantage, 77-inch reach. So he's coming into this fight with, what, a 3.5-inch reach advantage? 73.5 to 77. 3.5 inches of reach, knows how to use it. Long legs too. 3-inch height advantage. Michael Johnson, 39. I feel like this could be the fight where Zellhuber makes us say, oh shit. It's like, oh shit. If he flatlines Michael Johnson with a big straight punch, which he could, or if he lands a crazy high kick, that brings the hype back. Because Zellhuber had a lot of it. Zellhuber had a ton of it. I mean, he was the prospect to watch. I think Daniel Zellhuber can win this one. I'm going to predict that Daniel Zellhuber pulls it off against Michael Johnson, and I feel like it might be an emphatic fashion. It could be an emphatic fashion. Of course, Michael Johnson's a crafty vet. I don't know. Something's telling me Zellhuber by KO. He finds a straight punch and knocks Johnson out. I'm going to go Zellhuber, and he's a huge favorite. I'm breaking this fight down as if it's a 50-50 because, shit, it's still a fight. You know, the odds make it seem like there's no argument on the side of Michael Johnson. Like, he's got fast hands. He could land a death left, and, you know, if they go distance, his speed could keep him in it. But I think he gets caught. He gets stunned at least at some point. Plus 375 for Michael Johnson. 5-1 odds for the side of Daniel Zellhuber is crazy wide. My God. Over a round and a half, minus 200. Fuck the over. Fuck that. I'm picking Zellhuber. I'm thinking he's live to get the KO. I see him catching Johnson with a straight, but, you know, could Johnson survive the full 3? Absolutely. He's a savvy veteran. He's got slick hands. He's a fucking gym warrior. You've seen the footage of him and Usman sparring. Like, they go after it. He's taking on good opposition all the time throughout his fighting career and in the gym. 23-19, though. And, you know, to be fair, the last 3 wins, like, obviously Jacasey's okay, but at least the last 2 wins are lower caliber. Zellhuber does bad things to everybody that Michael Johnson's beaten lately. And I think that Daniel Zellhuber can beat Michael Johnson too. I'm going to say Zellhuber by KO. I think he finds that death punch. He needs a knockout, man. He needs it. He does have the submission threat. He caught Yagos in that Anaconda. So the sub is not crazy either. Johnson's been submitted a lot. So I think a finish for Zellhuber. Maybe the sneaky call is the sub. But I think he could catch Johnson. Maybe he clubs and subs him. I'm feeling like Zellhuber is getting Johnson out of there. So I'm going to go with Daniel Zellhuber to finish Michael Johnson. Next fight on the card, we got Dan Ige versus Patricio Pitbull. 50K Ige, 50K subscribers this week. I'm picking 50K Ige. I'm going with Dan Ige over Patricio. And I know people are going to say, AJ, bro, you changed up, man. You were Team Patricio. I mean, I believe in things, as Mike Finch would say, based on evidence. I do, though. I look at things and I say, okay, Patricio Pitbull got destroyed by Yair Rodriguez, like badly beaten up. And he looked to be a much lesser version of the Pitbull that I remember from my youth, all right, of watching him in Bellator. He doesn't seem to have the same timing, nor does he seem to have the same footwork, nor does he seem to have the same awareness of strikes. Like the reflexes have slowed a tad. He's 38, and he's been in a fuckload of fights, over 40 pro fights. And it's not been great lately. He's 1-3 over his last 4 fights. Obviously, the loss to Sergio Pettis was at 135, but he got fucking picked apart. But it was like, it's 135. Then he took this short notice fight and he gets knocked out. And then, he beats Jeremy Kennedy, and Kennedy's okay. And then he comes to the UFC, and Yair just beats the shit out of him. Gave him like a beating, like he was beating up his little brother type of beatdown. Patricio got dropped and hurt in that fight. He had no answer. Obviously, Dan Ige is much more available to be hit than Yair Rodriguez because of, the size not being a crazy differential. But Ige can box. He's coming off of the knockout of Sean Woodson. Yeah, it was a little bit early, but still was able to get to him with big shots. Still rocked Dan. I'm saying Dan Ige is still a savage for that win. Closed the gap and landed bombs on Sean Woodson. And Sean Woodson's 6'2" at 145 pounds. And Ige also, he's going to have that nice reach advantage here. 4.5-inch reach advantage. He's going to be an inch taller. He's younger. He's a sharp blade. He's been fighting good competition, beating a prospect like Woodson, going distance with a Lerone Murphy, going distance on short notice in a fun fight with Diego Lopez. And he finished that fight strong on 12 hours, not even 8 hours notice. Knocking out Andre Fili violently. He lost to Bryce Mitchell a while ago, but he did a fuckload of damage to Bryce. And Bryce is a very different style than Patricio Pitbull. I feel like Danny, and to be honest, Dan could have won that fight. But regardless, I feel like Dan Ige is definitely in this fight. I see his hands is faster. I don't know. I feel like he's like a more youthful, explosive, and boxing-centric version of, Pitbull. I don't know. I even think of Pitbull in his prime. I was like, all right, this will be an interesting fight back then, right? Because Pitbull's grappling skills could win him it. But I don't see Pitbull at this point dragging Ige to the ground and bodying him. Seeing how competitive a fight, regardless of the short notice he gave to Diego Lopez, that's a positive factor. Dan Ige's a tough guy, man. He's hard to out-wrestle. He's very hard to hurt. He's got a good chin on him. Has big power in his hands, for sure. Pitbull aging and slowing down. A Dan Ige knockout is not out of the question here. I see Dan Ige's hands working in this fight. I think 50K Ige's beating Patricio Pitbull. I feel really bad for Patricio, though. Gets to the UFC way too late, and now seeming like he's about to be on an 0-2 start after dreaming of fighting Volkanovski for years. I just think he's too small for Ige at this point. This version of Pitbull is too small for Ige. A prime Pitbull, it's a different conversation. His nasty calf kicks in his prime were scary as fuck. He had real power in his hands in his prime. I don't think he carries that same power anymore. It's like, I don't know, man. That last fight really kind of told me, he lost something. And this happens sometimes, right? It like deteriorates the body to cut too much weight. So like you had Patricio Pitbull all the way up at lightweight winning fights, then decides, as he's a featherweight, okay, I'm going to cut down to 135, lose muscle mass because he was shredded, fight against Sergio Pettis, and then obviously got destroyed in that fight, got knocked out by Suzuki. Yeah, he beat Jeremy Kennedy, and comes to the UFC and gets destroyed. It's like at 38, the body's not recovering the same. That weight cut a couple years ago fucked him, I think. Because I think he lost true muscle size. Like his face looks skinnier. And I think Dan Ige is too powerful, too explosive, and too sharp. I don't know. I feel like Pitbull could put up a better fight in moments, but I also see worse moments. I see Ige catching him with big punches. I don't know how Pitbull's defense against the fast hands and the, boxing power that Ige brings to the table is going to be. I'm going to go with Dan Ige to win this fight. Am I picking knockout? Maybe knockout. I'd say knockout or decision. I think Pitbull could go the 3 and have some moments here, but I feel like Ige is definitely faster with his punches. I think he lands harder. He's well-rounded. He's been fighting elite guys time and time again, and he's been making it close with good fighters. And I feel like Patricio, he's a little too ripe. He's overripe at 38. Pitbull's a dog, plus 170. Ige minus 200. I'm going with 50K Ige. The over 2.5 is minus 275. I mean, I lean towards yes with the over, but there's a chance Pitbull goes out. I mean, he got dropped bad a year, and it was 3 months ago. Ige can land hard shots. He fought 3 months ago, too. So, it's a perfect timeline. I believe they both fought on the same card. It was a perfect timeline to make this fight against one another. I feel like Ige is going to be sharp and precise with his boxing. I think Pitbull's going to have a harder time landing combinations. I do think he'll land some kicks. I think Pitbull's best chance is kicks and trying to wrestle, but I think Ige stops the takedown attacks, and I think he counters the kicks well with good punches. So I'm going to say Dan Ige takes this one home against the Bellator legend himself and Patricio Pitbull. We're going Ige to pull through. 50K Ige, and I'm making a call right now. 50K Ige interview on the channel for 50K subscribers. Let them know. Let them know. Next fight on the card. Featured fight of the night. We have Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez. I'm picking Kevin Holland to win all day. I actually think this is an incredibly favorable matchup towards Kevin Holland here. Like, if you look at his last 2 fights, he was booked to fight Gunnar Nelson. I have faith, and I went Kevin Holland. And, Gunnar Nelson, at the end of the day, grappling specialist, Holland landing hard shots, dropping some hammers, defending some takedowns. He looks better defending grappling down in weight than he does up in weight at 185, because this is his real weight class. Then he fucking destroys Luque, subs him up, and looked awesome in that fight. Kevin Holland's hands were on point. He was, stopping the single leg of Luque, but just dropping hammers on him. Kevin Holland's been looking good, man. Kevin Holland, the comeback. I don't think it was over. I think he's lost to 2 big and strong grappling-based guys at 185, and he's not a middleweight. Now he fights Daniel Rodriguez, who's on a nice 2-fight win streak. The knockout of Ponzinibbio was pretty badass. They actually both have knockouts of Ponzi. And then the Alex Morono fight was way too close 9 months ago. He had a 3-fight losing streak at one point. Like, D-Rod was looking rough from 2022 to 2024. Things were looking terrible for him. He was losing. Got knocked out by Gary, got subbed up by Magny, lost the decision to Gastelum, and Gastelum kind of fucked that, though, by moving it up in weight, but that's irrelevant. Now he fights against Kevin Holland. I don't like this fight at all for him. D-Rod's a southpaw who's got decent boxing, but he's at a clear speed disadvantage. He's at a length disadvantage. 7-inch reach disadvantage. Holland is more sharp with his punching. He hits harder than D-Rod does. He's faster than D-Rod. He's better at jiu-jitsu than D-Rod. What does D-Rod do? What has D-Rod got? I mean, he's got the chin. Maybe he doesn't get knocked out. Something whispers to me Kevin Holland's going to hit him with a Darce. Something whispers to me those long arms of Kevin Holland are going to work well for another submission win. If he can do it to Luque, I definitely think he can do it to D-Rod. I'm favoring the side of Holland by submission. I do think he lands big punches too, definitely. But ultimately, I think that getting him out of there, it might be that nasty Darce choke. Kevin Holland's a force, man. He's still good. At 170, Kevin Holland's a problem. And I feel like he's getting better. And D-Rod's not going to be out grappling him. He needs a lucky punch. He's not going to get it. I think Kevin Holland's a lock on this card. I think he's going to destroy Daniel Rodriguez. I think he can hurt him bad on the feet. I think he can sub him up too. I think Kevin Holland's going to be way too much for D-Rod. 38-year-old D-Rod, it's not that he's old. D-Rod, still actively fighting, and he's been looking better. But Kevin Holland's too sharp, man. I think you could hurt D-Rod with punches, but D-Rod then probably gets caught in some weird some weird front headlock. Specifically, the Darce is what I see. That's Holland's bread and butter move. Minus 425 for Holland, yes. And he's finally in a matchup that really looks so favorable towards him. He should drop a highlight reel again. Plus 325 for D-Rod. Let's see here. If this fight goes over 2.5 rounds, it's plus 137. Yeah, I think it goes under. I think fights live to finish. I think Holland subs him or knocks him out, but I'll say sub. I think he lands big shots, though. His hands look dangerous, but ultimately I think that Darce choke is the cherry on top. and he finishes the fight by submission. I see him destroying Daniel Rodriguez. I was surprised to see the UFC book this fight. They want Holland with a showcase before giving him another big one. And bro, 4% of Tapology picking D-Rod. Yeah. Holland's going to destroy him. Holland for the win. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card. It's the co-main event of the evening. We got Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov. I'm going to pick Roman Kopylov to beat Paulo Costa. I just can't make an argument towards like part-time fighter Paulo Costa, who hasn't looked good in a while, man. Roman Kopylov is a sharp striker. He's got nasty snapping kicks. He's got good straight punches. He's very calculated with his striking attack. He has really good movement. His footwork is actually a big advantage over Costa. I feel like Costa more moves like straight back and forth or side to side, where Kopylov is more of an angle-based striker, and he's a lot more efficient in the aspects of technicality and stand-up. It's weird with Costa, though, because I think of the prime Paulo Costa, you know, going out and brawling with Yoel Romero. Then it's like I see him now, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? You look at Paulo Costa over recent fights. Last one, he lost handily to Sean Strickland. I don't know what the fuck a split decision is. He lost. Robert Whittaker absolutely picks him apart. His win is against Luke Rockhold nearly 3 years ago. That's his last win. And the Luke Rockhold fight, when you really look at it, it's not like he looked great in it. Luke was still giving him some trouble in round number 3. And then the Vettori loss nearly 4 years ago. Adesanya violently chinning him. It fell apart. It was Adesanya loss, and then it was fighting 2021 one time, 2022 one time, 2024 he did fight twice. Trying to stay active, but he took a year off again. Another year off. I feel like Roman Kopylov's too precise, too sharp, and too primed right now. He fights a lot. Activity rate is higher. Over the past 2 years, he's fought 5 times. Over, the past 2 years, we got 2 fights for Paulo Costa, 2 losses as well. And obviously, Robert Whittaker's a monster. And Costa still brings the danger factor, like the spinning heel kick. And he still has explosive moments. But it's like he hasn't won a UFC fight in so damn long. And now I got Mr. Active and sharp Roman Kopylov, who's technically sound, kind of like a Russian white Adesanya type. I'm not saying that he's really Adesanya, but with the sharp striking, I feel like Kopylov could be the matador to Paulo Costa the bull. Kopylov's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage. Sharp strikes, sharp kicks, snapping shots. Costa looking to throw wild barrages. Kopylov's going to block that shit. Costa trying to grapple, but it's not like Costa's that good at wrestling, especially the Costa we've seen. Costa's part-time fighter. Costa, he made his fucking money. I don't know where his head is at. I can't pick him. He's got no wins in the UFC over anybody active. Isn't that fucking crazy? 0 wins over anybody currently on the UFC roster. I feel like he's from the last generation. Him and fucking Kopylov somehow the same age. I'm going to favor Kopylov. He did lose to Hernandez, who's a grappling specialist, but Hernandez is so slick with his jiu-jitsu. It's a different matchup. He was able to beat Cesar Almeida and hurt Cesar Almeida in that fight. He was able to go out there and knock Chris Curtis out. I get it, though. The fear of Kopylov. Like, there's a little love for Costa. Like, is it crazy to pick Paulo Costa? It's more of like we haven't seen him in so long. Like, could he go out and drop some hammers on Kopylov? Maybe. But I also see him looking a little dull and just getting technically picked apart. Like, I don't think he's getting knocked out. I think it's a competitive fight. I think he has moments. I think he throws hard. I think he tries to wrestle. I think Kopylov defends. People forget, man, Kopylov got that like master of sport and hand-to-hand combat and shit. Kopylov is a precise and technical martial artist. Paulo Costa is like an OG powerhouse. But my biggest gripe with Paulo Costa, even in his prime, was I always felt like Paulo Costa really didn't have one-punch power. Like, even when you look at the primed wins of Paulo Costa, it's big barrages that bully people. I remember the knockout at Johnny Henry. Barrages you with wild shots, and then he puts you away. Same with the Uriah Hall fight. Drop Yoel Romero with a big shot. And honestly, a lot of people thought he could have lost that fight. So his 2 most recent wins are a 2019 win against Yoel and a 2022 win against Luke Rockhold. The old guard, the old generation. Nobody's on the roster still that he's fought. And now I got sharp Roman Kopylov staying active, getting wins. I'm going to go with Roman Kopylov to get a technical decision. I think that he's going to look sound on the feet. I think he'll defend against Costa's big blitzes of aggressive onslaughts of wild shit. And I think on the flip side of that, Costa also will attempt to grapple. Kopylov will defend the takedowns and then land counter shots. I see Costa getting caught on the end of Kopylov's punches a lot and potentially frustrated. I'm going to say Roman Kopylov wins. And as crazy as it sounds, like this could be it for Paulo Costa's UFC career. 3 losses in a row, looking uninspired, not fighting actively. He hears about, $25 million tournament that the BKFC is hosting. Maybe Paulo Costa tries to go do bare knuckle. That would not shock me. I don't know how many fights he has on his UFC contract left off the top of my head. But, inactive, I don't know. I feel like Paulo Costa started out red hot and seemed like somebody to always keep an eye on, but like his initial hype of what he once was has like kept him alive in this modern era when he hasn't proven shit against anybody relevant. So I'm going to go with Roman Kopylov to win this fight. And I think he gets it done by a unanimous decision, looking sharp too. And if he knocks out Costa, more power to him. But I'll give Costa that respect that he goes to the final bell and has a couple of moments. But Kopylov just too technically sound, too clean with the straights. Minus 255 for Kopylov, Costa plus 215. Big dog status. The over is minus 200. I lean towards yes on the over, though I see Kopylov catching Costa at the end of his strikes a lot, clean straights and nasty kicks to the body. I feel as though Paulo Costa will survive the thunderous barrages and at the least give like a heartfelt and tough effort and maybe try to swing wild towards the end. But he's just not sharp enough, man. He's too dull, not active enough. I feel like not full-time fightery enough. He's made his money. He's done his thing. He's going out and he's got a fun matchup against Kopylov, but he's got a bad matchup against Kopylov. I'm going with Roman Kopylov to beat Paulo Costa here. Next fight. It's the main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe it up. We got Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier 3. It's for the BMF title, and it's Dustin Poirier's retirement fight. I am picking Max Holloway. I think Holloway is going to win it. Finally, he's down 2-0 against Dustin Poirier. And I went back. You guys know I had to check out what once was and see the others. And I'm looking at Max Holloway, and I'm like, wow, he's gotten a lot sharper since their second fight. When he was the featherweight champ moving up to lightweight, he also looks in way better physical condition now. He's put on clear muscle size, and he looks leaner. His boxing is faster. His punches are more precise. His movement is better. His combinations are better. He's defensively more sound. Max Holloway's definitely gotten better, and I'm watching Poirier, and I'm like, okay, that's about the Poirier we know. Maybe he's a little slower now, a little more jacked now. Maybe somehow in his older age has developed a tad bit more power, but there's a harder time getting to the target. There's definitely a slight lack of precision that Poirier once was renowned for that I feel now is like somewhat lost. He doesn't seem to have as much precision as he did, especially in their second fight. Looking back at that, and then seeing, the Islam Makhachev fight, where sure, he landed some decent punches and he gave a gutsy effort, but he was fucking outstruck by Islam as well. Max Holloway looks sensational at 155 against Justin Gaethje. He looked as good as he's ever looked in his life against Justin Gaethje. And I said to myself, all right, yeah, he killed it. But then he went back down to 45 and Topuria knocked him out. But then go rewatch Topuria. And you're like, okay, this is a Topuria that killed Charles Oliveira early. And I'm watching Max Holloway land shots and mix it up on the feet. And I'm thinking, okay, Max Holloway's striking did look good. I remembered that correctly, but I think we forget. Right? We just think of the knockout finish because Max has never been KO'd, that there was okay moments in boxing against the best at lightweight and the best at featherweight at the time. Ilia Topuria, who's like the king of the punch, slick as they come with crazy power and precision. And I'm looking at Max Holloway in that fight having some moments and obviously the weight cut. And I'm thinking, okay, how much of a red flag is that loss? It's not one because Topuria is the fucking man. He's a champ at 155. He's a champ at this weight. Max Holloway is still pound for pound one of the best, as is Poirier. Poirier's an OG legend, but Poirier showed some signs of slowing down. Poirier got knocked out bad against Gaethje with the high kick. Then he beat Benoit Saint-Denis after dealing with a ton of trouble early. Yes, he found the sick knockout. Different matchup. Obviously gave Islam a tough fight, but still was finished in that fight. And now it's Max Holloway, who at 33 years of age, been fighting forever and seemingly still improving, versus a 36-year-old Poirier who is announced, this is my retirement fight. There's nothing beyond this. It's a BMF title chance, and that's it. Poirier won his belt, interim title, against Max Holloway in their rematch. That was his big moment. He had the belt. He's feeling it. He won a belt. You know, I feel like Poirier, he's in chase of this title, but he has a title at home. Max Holloway, obviously a former champion and the current BMF champion. It's more of a trophy, though, with the BMF, to be fair. It doesn't involve the undisputed title. They do it as a separate thing, because if you get knocked out as the BMF, it should go towards the guy who knocks you out, but irrelevant. You stick to the fight. Max Holloway is sharper with his boxing combinations, and he's going to have a speed advantage, especially this time. The jab of Max Holloway is a problem. The straights of Max Holloway are problems. Yes, Poirier does counter with big shots over the top. He can definitely crack with hooks still, and he hurt Max Holloway with a lot of those big shots in their first fight, or excuse me, their second fight. Beat him up in the ground the first fight, too. But I think he's slower and less precise now, and Max Holloway is faster and more precise. So there was a differential in power that was evident. Obviously, Max Holloway was planning to drop back down to 45, and he didn't really build into a proper frame for 155 in their rematch. Dustin Poirier showed that natural power advantage and had Max Holloway on wobbly legs a few times. Max Holloway landed a lot of punch combinations and had Poirier backing up in key moments of the fight, and sure, had success, but overall was bullied by Dustin Poirier last time in a war. I don't see Poirier with that same ability to bully him. And if you negate the bullying factor of their last fight, when you just look at shots landed, Holloway did land a lot, and he absorbed a lot well too. I think Holloway's going to land a lot with more impact in this one. I think the speed is going to be a factor. I think the footwork of Max Holloway is a factor. I think that he's going to be able to land cleaner and more significant shots over the course of the fight, hurting Dustin Poirier a couple of times too with big combinations. Holloway's powers improved, though I still consider him a volume puncher, and Dustin Poirier obviously known for being tough as they come. I see this fight playing out over the course of a 5-round war, but it's a 5-round war where this time Max Holloway is going to have the upper hand for a lot of the fight. I think Poirier will have big moments, and we're at home for him in New Orleans, Louisiana. So, of course, he's looking to throw caution to the wind at the end. Expect a point down and brawl till the final bell. I'm going to say that we have a badass fight of the year candidate between the two, but it's going to be a fight where Max Holloway's a bit sharper, a bit technically more sound and cleaner, lands a bit more significant shots. I think he bust up Poirier a bit. If you remember in their second fight, Holloway got like the top of his nose sliced up with the knee from Poirier on the inside. It's interesting to see Holloway land that knee on the inside early against Gaethje and fuck him up bad in that fight. Not saying there's going to be knee up the center, but weird correlations, right? I think this time Max Holloway wins. I don't think he's getting 3-0'd by another fighter on the roster. Volkanovski did it to him. I don't think Poirier's doing it to him. He's up 2-0, and it's wild that Max Holloway's UFC debut was Dustin Poirier, and now Dustin Poirier's retirement fight is Max Holloway. It's a beautiful fight. A ton of mutual respect between the two. They've shared the octagon twice before. They sweated it out and went to war for, numerous minutes out there against one another and exchanged tons of blows, hundreds. And I think they exchange hundreds once more. And I think this is kind of one of those legendary trilogies that fuck the first two. This one still carries weight because each of their matchups against one another, it's a beautiful thing. They were in different eras. The early start for both of them, right? The, middle of the prime for both of them. And now towards the end of the road for Poirier, but I'll say still the end of his prime per se, but a little past it. And Max Holloway in the tail stage of that prime, but still seems primed. And I think it's the best Max Holloway we've ever seen. I do. I don't think we get the best Dustin Poirier ever. I think he showed signs of slowing down just a tad. His toughness is still there. His punch power is still there. He still rips big southpaw box combinations. Sure, he can still crack from the mid-range, close the gap, and land big barrages of shots. But I think Holloway's going to poke him a bit more with sharper shots. But this time, the pokes last time were like this, little light pokes. Now he's going to poke him with a bit of a thud. I think Poirier gets stung up with some big shots in this one. I think it's a back and forth war where both guys have key moments. I think Holloway does more damage over the 5 rounds, and I think he takes it on the judges' scorecards in a technical war between the two of them, and I think they finish the fight out with a wild barrage. In Dustin Poirier's career, the chapter of his fighting career could not be closed any better than with a badass all-time war with Max Holloway, and something tells me they're going to put it on. I think they're going to go after it. I think it's going to be a legendary fight. BMF belt on the line too. is an extra oomph. They're both going to swing till the final bell. It's going to be a war that you guys will go back and rewatch. I feel like for years to come, this will be one to go back and rewatch. I got good feelings about it. I'm going to say Max Holloway comes out on the right side this time, and he gives Dustin Poirier that legendary retirement send-off fight, but also gives him the L too. I'm going Holloway to avenge against Poirier this time out, but it's not like a typical avenge. It's not like it was 2 years later. Their last fight was in 2019. Their first fight was many years before. Well, how many years back is it? Their first fight was like, I feel like in the early era of the UFC transition with the WEC, 2019, right? Loss here. And then what? Look at the fucking loss. 2012, bro. 2012, okay? 2019, and now 2025. They fought in 3 different eras of their careers and 3 different eras in fighting. And I think Max Holloway wins this one in this era. Minus 135 for Holloway. He's a slight favorite. Opened up as a slight dog. Plus 115 for Poirier. Oh, my God. Yeah, I'm going with Max. I'm going with Max. Over 4.5, minus 145. I do lean towards yes, but listen, they both been in some fucking wars, and Holloway could land some flurries. And Poirier has a thudding shot, but I don't see him putting Holloway out. Wow. I'm looking at any method of victory calls that I want to mention right now. Not really. Not really. What's Holloway KO? Curiosity, plus 340. Holloway by decision, plus 210. Over, minus 130-ish. The prediction, nonetheless, is Max Holloway to win the war. To get it done in a battle where both are bloodied and tested, but Max Holloway lands more significant shots. I see him being slicker, landing more down the center and doing more damage over the course of the 25 minutes. So I'm going to pick Max Blessed Holloway and still BMF champ, defeating Dustin Poirier for the first time in his career and the 3rd time that they face off. I'm excited as hell. Star-studded main event. Those are the predictions for UFC 318. When you dig into it, and, if you watch this prediction video, I think you're more excited than if you wouldn't have, right? And for me, doing the research on it, I always feel an anticipation grow even more so. There are some pretty badass fights on this card. And when you look at it in close, it's like, yo, this is a solid card. When you look at it from the outside, I know a lot of people have complained, it's not great. It's not 317. But there's still some badass matchups that I think we can have some wild moments too. So I'm excited as hell for UFC 318. I hope you guys enjoyed the predictions. Smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. You better. We're on the road to 50,000 subscribers. So make sure you guys hit the button, show some love. I appreciate you all for supporting the channel. W to the community. Definitely let me know. What do you think of the picks in the comments? Drop your main event take. I want to hear from you. Some of the other picks, whether you agree or disagree, I want to hear from you guys down below. And if you got nothing to say, just drop a W in the comments to boost the algorithm for your boy. Thank you guys for watching. Turn the post notifications on. I'm going to have live streams and videos every single day of the week. So keep it locked in the channel with the daily content. I love you guys. I'll see you on the next one. Much love. Peace out.